So I'd like to begin with just a story of what a loving parent might say to a high school senior who says, I'd like to go into music in college. There are three possible responses, and I see this very much as a sort of third wave. Okay, so response one might be, follow your heart, do whatever you like. If music's what you love, I'm all behind you. Parent two might say, are you crazy? Why would you go into music? Do something practical like engineering or business. And we see this as the third wave, which is music is what you love, but it's not enough just to love it. And in fact, it's not even enough just to be good at performing. And so we, in the College of Music, are starting a brand new initiative called MSU Muse, just launched this past summer. And the goal of this program is to find out what, in addition to performance ability, musicians need in order to lead successful careers. As it turns out, every musician who has a successful career is an entrepreneur in some way. They build careers from multiple employers, they network with various people, they teach, they perform, they do lots of things. And so we got together last spring with students and faculty from the College of Music, and we also looked around to other universities and conservatories in the country to see what they were doing, to find out what are these skills, what can we do for people while they're here, so that once they leave, they have more than just performance, or in the case of music education majors, teaching ability, and they can actually succeed in careers. So we came up with three essential tracks. We want them to be aware of possible career paths. We want to give them skills that prepare them for these paths. And we want them actually to do things while they're here that get their foot in the door of these paths, work with faculty and with other guests so that it's not a foreign experience once they leave. And this, it turns out, should have been something that colleges of music discovered many years ago, but it's really quite new. Very few places did anything like this until about 10 years ago. And even still, you can count on just a couple of hands the collegiate music curricula that are doing more than just preparing students to be chamber musicians and solo performers and ensemble musicians. So what are these skills? Here are some, and these represent the ones that we're focusing on this year and next year. Managing finances, all the way from loan and credit to insurance to tax issues and so on. Self-promotion and marketing, websites, bios, press kits. Innovative performance models, which could be collaboration with visual artists or with photographers or something like this. Engaging and growing audiences, doing more than just standing behind the sort of curtain of the proscenium and playing and then leaving. How can we actually do something that's personally meaningful for audiences? Grant writing, recruiting and teaching a private studio. It turns out that many music students have spent a lot of time taking lessons, but maybe not so much time thinking about how they can do that as a career path. And then collaborating across disciplines with other art collaborators and also in the sciences and the businesses and so on. So we've got a few tracks that started this year. My colleague Mark Sullivan is here. He's leading one of these. The first is faculty-led workshops. We have one that's just finished on audience engagement. It's based in the World Grant mission of the university, outreach and engagement, but the point is also that this is not just good for our soul, this is good for our wallet, and so we're teaching students how to get better engagement with audiences so that they can get people who normally wouldn't care about classical music to come to their concerts. Ben Zander, the great conductor and teacher, has a nice story about, he sort of pokes fun at orchestra directors or symphony orchestra managers by saying, well, what they're really after is increasing the percentage of Americans who attend classical music concerts from 3% to 4%. That's sort of their life's work. And a lot of this is about finding the other 97 and making this meaningful to them as well. The second is, as I said, collaboration with people in other disciplines. The third, which will be in the spring, is self-marketing promotion, and then one on finances. All of these have capstone projects where students will do something that not just satisfies the sort of end requirement of the workshop, but in fact also gets them a head start toward doing these things as professionals. The second track, we're fortunate to be in collaboration with the MSU Federal Credit Union. They have a terrific outreach department there that will present 3 workshops that are money related for musicians. They do research on specific market factors for musicians and come in and say, here's what you might expect to make in an orchestral concert, here's what you might expect to spend buying a new bassoon, and here's how credit works and loans, and if you're working for 8 employers and not just one like most people, here's how you deal with taxes, all these things. We've had guest speakers so far. There was a band last month, 2 months ago now, the Depew Brothers, many of whom are actually in the Philadelphia Orchestra, but this band is what they call grassical. It's classical and bluegrass mixed together. And the point was, they came in and performed. They're wonderful musicians, but they also were able to show our students that the path to a successful career in music is through innovation. It's through identifying oneself as more than just a classical symphony player or a jazz player or something. And so the definition of entrepreneurship that we're adopting is essentially as broad as possible. It's career preparation through innovation. And then we've got 8th Blackbird coming in February. This is a very well-known chamber ensemble that specializes in innovative performance models. They do things with lighting and with visual artists, and they're really stellar at this. So they're coming in for a few days to talk about audience engagement and get our students thinking about how they might do more as ensembles than just practice the musical works and hope that somebody shows up to hear them. We have several next steps planned. One is the goal, sort of more broadly, to get music entrepreneurship and career preparation as more pervasive foci of the College of Music curriculum. So we'll be talking with faculty and students to find out what, not just in additional workshops, but also in our existing classes, are there for opportunities to be more directed to sort of what happens after the degree is earned, both for undergraduates and graduate students. We've got, in the very early stages, an entrepreneurship extravaganza planned for August next year, which will be a day-long sort of dedicated session with all College of Music students and faculty to give brief presentations that give tastes of some of these skills, and then those will branch out into further depth, pending student interest in the workshops that we'll offer next year. There's an exciting new body of research on what it takes, what music entrepreneurship actually is. There are best practices emerging from what other schools have been doing in the last decade or so on this issue, and so we hope to be at the forefront of that, getting our faculty aware of it, and then also documenting the progress, the impact that we're able to make on the students who are involved in this, in the College of Music. We're looking for support to sponsor a couple of things: Head Start career programs to give students funding toward creating websites or paying fees for showcases so that they can get themselves managed professionally as ensembles, or all of these things that require an initial investment that many of our students are not able to make at this time, but could have a significant impact on their careers. The other thing is that we're able to do a lot of this with existing resources based upon the generosity of faculty, but we're looking to bring also guests in who have special expertise, not just for the one-time presentations to students, but also to provide a more lasting investment by making our faculty better teachers of music entrepreneurship. It's interesting that we all tend to teach by default the way that we were taught, and this is really going against the grain, breaking the model in a new way, because we really need to be better at showing students what careers are, how they can innovate to be good at them. And really, you know, there's so much research recently about what it is that's different now from, say, 20 years ago. Music attendance at classical concerts, jazz concerts, is way, way down, but music participation is way up in the sort of pro-am model of YouTube and GarageBand and so on. And so a lot of this is not so much about predicting the future, but about becoming part of it and getting students who are willing to see their careers in different ways. So I would be happy to speak with any of you about additional information about this. It's an exciting new venture, and I hope that in a year or two or three we have even more to share about it. Thanks very much.